Hey guys, and welcome to my useful PvM abilities guide. In this guide I'm going to be covering how you can unlock all the abilities and when you should unlock them. So when you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax and enjoy. So first off, let us cover the unlockable abilities. Abilities which are unlocked by either completing a quest or getting enough currency in a minigame. So the first few unlockable abilities are the abilities you unlock by completing the World's Way quest, which also has a lot of nice experience rewards. It's Balanced Strike, Death Swiftness, Sunshine, Natural Instinct and Guthick's Blessing. Now the important ones in this category are the Sunshine and Death Swiftness abilities, as these are the most useful. When you use these ultimate abilities, a 7x7 area will be created, either Sunshine or a little tornado, and if you stand inside this area you will deal 50% more damage. Then you have the Balanced Strike ability, which isn't too good, Guthick's Blessing, which is a healing ability, and Natural Instinct, which makes it so that you can gain more adrenaline, which is useful in certain situations. And if you guys didn't notice already, I'm just going to try and cover all of these skills really quickly because I do not want to make this video too long. So next up we have Tuska's Wrath, which is an amazing ability for Slayer, which is unlocked through the Anima Islands, which is a minigame located on the corpse of Tuska. And you have Devotion, Sacrifice and Transfigured. Now Devotion and Sacrifice are two very good PvM abilities you can unlock by killing the bosses in God Wars Dungeon 1, so Bandos, Armadillo, Krill, whatever. Now Sacrifice is also useful for Slayer as it's a nice little healing ability and good for bossing as well. Devotion is especially good for bossing as when using this and Protection Prayers in combination of each other, you actually have 100% damage reduction for a few seconds against the style you're praying against. Then next up we have the abilities unlocked by the pretty early game quest called the Dig Site. However, these abilities are kind of high level to use. The Tendrils are really good for PvM and for PvP. And of course the Ice Asylum ability, which is especially useful if you're doing group dungeoneering or doing some bossing with your friend and you need some extra healing, because you spawn a little healing crystal that can actually heal you and your bossing buddy depending on how close you stand towards it, as the closer you stand towards the crystal the more you actually get healed. And of course the Shattered World abilities, which many people surprisingly do not know about. Now these are actually unlocked by buying them with Anima, which is rewarded from doing the minigame called Shattered Worlds, which I may actually make a guide for soon. Now Bladed Dive is actually an ability that will let you leap towards a location, dealing 25% to 125% ability damage to all enemies within a 3x3 area. And the other two abilities are actually bought in a package of two, as Mutated Dazing Shot is literally just an upgrade from the normal Dazing Shot, and Salt the Wound is literally just a way of refreshing your puncture stacks and a nice little addition to the Mutated Dazing Shot. Now I hope me covering the abilities shortly to keep the video short and just giving brief descriptions are still easily followed by everyone watching. If not, well, crap. Now the other unlockable abilities are not obtained by quests or minigames. No, they're actually bought from the Grand Exchange or obtained as a drop. Now the first abilities are pretty much useless unless you do PvP or some very niche PvM. And these abilities are Shock, Horror, Demoralize and Rout. Now these are pretty cheap. I think the actual Scare Tactics book is around 870k, so you can get them if you want them, but there's really not too much of a point. And the next ability is Reprisal, which is again very niche, not worth getting because it's 260 plus mil and only really useful if you do some very niche high tier PvM, so I'm not going to be covering that. Next up are probably the most used ability codexes in this game. It's the Mazcap ability codexes, which unlock Storm Shards, Shatter, Onslaught, Corruption Shot and Blast. The three abilities that are particularly useful from this codex are Onslaught, Corruption Shot and Blast. Corruption Shot and Blast are pretty much area of effect bleeding abilities, and they're extremely good for Slayer and a very good single target PvM bleeding ability. And I'd say these are definitely worth getting. However, these codexes will set you back 16 plus mil each, and one codex only unlocks one ability. Now Onslaught is a very good PvM ability if you want to dish out a lot of damage in a short period of time, and this ability is especially useful for the blood phase at Nex. Next up we have the mutated abilities dropped by the bosses in Elite Dungeons 2, aka the Dragonkin Laboratory, and these are nice little upgrades for your PvM setup. However, they're pretty expensive, especially Mutated Barge. Now let's move on to what abilities you should actually get and when you should get them. Now this is the part of the video that's the most interesting and useful, and also the reason why I didn't describe all the abilities previously mentioned. Because you can literally look up what the abilities do on the wiki, you guys probably want to know what's actually useful for your account and when, and that's where this section of the video comes in. Now if you're watching this video right now and your current combat level is between level 3 and 100, you want to be getting the following abilities: Sacrifice, Devotion, Ice Asylum, Death Swiftness, and Sunshine. Now by unlocking the following abilities, you will be unlocking some other useful abilities as well, like the Tendrils for example, or the Gothixian Butterfly ability. However, the main abilities you want to be using between these combat levels are these abilities, as they're the most used to you. To unlock all of these abilities, you have to complete the Dig Site, the World's Wakes quest, and you'll have to kill the Gold Rush Dungeon 1 bosses to get Devotion and Sacrifice. If your current combat level is between level 100 and level 120, you want to be getting the previous abilities, or the ones above, from levels 3 to 100, and Tuska's Wrath, as around this combat level you probably have a decent Slayer level and you'll be doing a lot of damage against your Slayer task creatures with this Tuska's Wrath ability, so it's definitely worth getting. This ability will set you back 4,000 reward currency at the Anima Islands minigame, or D&D. If your account is currently between the combat levels of 120 and 130, you want to be focusing on getting your first corruption ability if you have spare money. As if you have decent gear and you have a corruption ability for either ranged or magic, you're going to be making money easier and training up your combat stats much faster if you're using the correct methods, as 16 or possibly 17 mil is easily made back at combat levels 120 plus. However, if it's still too much money for you, then just hold back until you're higher level with more GP to spend. On a more positive note, the following abilities being Belated Dive and Salt the Wound with Mutated Dazing Shot are completely free. They will, however, set you back 63 million anima each, which is the minigame's currency. However, you can easily grind 20 million anima per hour at the higher world, so it doesn't really take that long to actually get these abilities, and it isn't really that hard either. However, it can be boring to grind them out, and they aren't essential, but they do benefit you. And of course, be sure to get all of the abilities previously mentioned. Now if you're watching this abilities video and your combat level is 130 plus and you have the money to spend, you're geared out and stuff, then you can spend your money on the following abilities. If you've got Corruption Shot and Blast, you can spend your money on the Mass Capability Codex once more to unlock Onslaught. Like previously mentioned, Onslaught is extremely good for some PvM things, but especially good for soloing next, as it makes the blood phase so much easier. And I'd almost say it's a necessity for learning solo next, at least to learn solo next smoothly and pleasantly. Now again, if you're geared out and perked out, you can actually spend your money on some of the mutated abilities, and they vary in price, and depending on what you want yourself, you can go ahead and pick one and buy it. I would personally go for Mutated Barge or Fury over Flurry because those are actually better. And of course, get all of the other abilities mentioned above at the lower combat levels. And with that being said, those are actually the abilities you want to get and are worth getting, so if you wanted a general direction, this is it. And before I get questions, I didn't include the other abilities like Shock or Reprisal because those are very niche and not really worth it. But if you're PKing, those stun abilities like Shock are good because they actually stun and knock back your opponent, which is better than a normal stun. And with that being said, I hope this video was actually useful to you guys. If there's any questions about the abilities, be sure to ask me in the comments section below. I will be actually leaving a link to the wiki and all the abilities for you guys to check out if you want more information on a specific ability. And if you're watching this video, it's probably because you want to know what options are out there. And I actually made a gearing guide for melee, ranged, and magic to give you guys a general direction of what to buy and what to get. And all of that with the price and upgrade order included, so if you want to check those videos out, I'll leave a link in the description below. And with that being said, catch you guys later. Peace.